Hey everybody, this one might be getting cut a little short. My ride's on their way. I got plans to go out, but I got this pull. It was time to talk again, so here I am. Um, if you follow my written posts, I have this saying about if you want to live in joy, you have to get your priorities in order. Jesus, others, yourself. Again, yourself is at the bottom of that list, but it's on the list. You have to take care of yourself. That was the part I was missing. You got most people trying to live life in yo right now. They think of themselves, yourself first, and then you think of others, but only in as far as you can use them or manipulate them. That's how most people are living life right now. And that's why they're miserable. You got to get your priorities in order. Because when you do the work, you get breaks. Today is one of those breaks for me. I get to switch everything off. I get to go out and enjoy the fruits of the work that I put in. I'm getting ready to go to a function that is going to let me repair some relationships that were broken, in that time while I was being manipulated, while I was, connections that I let go of. And these people are, welcoming me back to, see, is this the real deal? Have I really changed? And I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. So don't forget, it's not all doom and gloom. One of the things that we're doing in this, process is, yes, we are becoming better people. We also have to heal and nurture that inner child. You got to let it out every once in a while. That's your expression of joy. You know, you've done the work, you've come this far, you've changed this much. You are a new creature. Go out and look at the world with those new eyes. Get new perceptions. Um, one of the things that I was kind of I noticed this morning, there was still a little piece of the old me. There was two things that I was hoping for one or the other today, and now I realize neither's happening. Um, but I got that discerning eye, and it's okay. Because the old me would have been deflated and made this day a wreck. And the new me is like, I trust the plan. What I had in mind wasn't as good as it can get. God's about to show me how good it can get. So I just have to keep that door open and be ready to receive it when it comes. And in the meantime, I'm going to repair those healthy relationships, those people that want to nurture me as much as they want me to nurture them. That's what I need more of. That is also part of the healing process. And some of you have had to have a complete break off of certain past relationships. And some of those, unfortunately, can be mended, and that's okay. Again, part of this process is you have to have mercy and grace, and that includes for yourself. But you still have to have the accountability. You still have to, face the reason that those relationships aren't repairable. But that's the lesson. That's why it happened. That was the consequences of your choices in that time. Don't think because you're going through this process that it means instant forgiveness from everybody, because it doesn't. And it doesn't mean that that person is unhealed. Quite the opposite. It might mean that person is healed enough to know that they have learned their lesson. Because that's how we trap ourselves is, we think we've learned the lesson. But then we open the door on it right again and let the cycle continue, whether it's another face or another time or another place. we still trap ourselves in these cycles. And if you're tired of the end result, start changing the cycle. Break it. Create new ones. But you can't force it. You know, I really love, it's crude, but it's so true, that expression. Um, Love is like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably shit. And that is so true. You know, you got to release it slow. Get the giggle. I don't care how old you are. It's still funny. Again, that inner child, the stupidest little things can make you happy. That's the point. That's those little treasures, those little moments, those miracles that God sends you. But a lot of people live in this lens in the world that that's not who I'm allowed to be. That's not who I can portray myself as. I'm an adult. I have to put childish things away. No, you have to have the discernment to know when it's time to work hard and when it's time to show up as an adult. But you also have to have the discernment to know when to let yourself take a break and let that inner child out. To enjoy, again, the fruits of what you've been doing. When they talk about putting childish things away, notice how it says it. Put them away. Put them on a shelf. I've gone through this experience where, I was with a narcissist that put me on a shelf. And that's why they put me on a shelf. Because they couldn't nurture their own inner child. And mine, despite everything, me and my ex, we had very similar backgrounds. And we were opposite ends of the spectrum. And these are our parts of the lesson that I'm learning. It's all about perception. How do you look at the world? I looked at the world and I felt the pain that had been inflicted upon me, and I wanted to protect others from it. I wanted to take those bad habits out of myself so I didn't inflict that same pain on others. Whereas my ex was the type that they got guarded. They needed to control. They couldn't open themselves up. They let that inner joy die. And it's unfortunate. But it is what it is. I did all I could. I tried to resurrect that for her, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And that's okay, but I can't wallow in it. Life's not over. I've still got work to do, and I'm already seeing, little signs that God is definitely on my side right now. I mean, it's again, those dumbest little synchronicities. Getting into the doctor's office early, finally getting in, the call being easy. The things I need showing up right when I need them. Those are all things that are happening to me. And that's because I'm doing the work. This isn't a brag. This is my testimony. This is what this whole video series is about. This is what I'm here for. This is why I've had the experiences I've had. I'm here to show people it's in all of us. It really is. But you got to put in the effort. There's not shortcuts. If you want to live life, you have to fight for it. You can't expect somebody else to fight for it for you. That's the mistake that a lot of people make. That's not what a partnership is about. Partnership is somebody that, when you're in those down moments, is there to feed and nurture you and keep you alive. And if your person isn't doing that, then they're not your person. And that's not just romantic relationships. That's friendships. That's family. You know? The only blood I'm interested in is Jesus. Serious. And don't take that the wrong way, because I am blessed. I have some awesome family. I really do. They are the ones that I'm talking about. The ones that, when I couldn't nurture myself, they tried. And I was hard-headed. Sometimes I put my hand up. And that was the old me. I finally opened my eyes. I've learned those lessons. But you can't get there until you take the journey. Everybody has these excuses because they're afraid. That's what it all boils down to. You don't have enough love or faith in yourself to find the courage to do the work. That's the accountability. And once you realize that, which is what I went through, I did start to give that kind of love to myself. I did start to nurture myself. I did, turn to Jesus, and I used God's strength. And this is the result. And it's fantastic, and it's still going. Again, it's not an achievement. It's steps. I have already leveled up a few times in a short period, because I'm paying more attention. I'm using that intuition, that discernment. I'm learning the lessons faster. I'm breaking the cycles faster. And it's making a difference. So, anyway, that's, what I was called to share with you guys today. So, I'm going to go enjoy my day off, and I'm going to have a good time. You guys, take care of yourselves, keep taking care of each other, and I'll see you in the next one.